Some big headlines in the AI world. Microsoft hiring the co-founder of DeepMind to head its new AI division. Steve Kovach standing by with that. And Kristina Partsinevelos joins us live from the big Nvidia event in San Jose, California. So, Steve, let's start with you. Talk about this acquisition, what it means for Microsoft.
Well, not exactly an acquisition, Mike. I'll get to that in a second. So Microsoft is forming a new division dedicated to AI, and it's going to be run by a big name in the AI space. That's Mustafa Suleyman. Now, Suleyman will be the CEO of the new group, which is called Microsoft AI, focusing on consumer products, especially Copilot, which is the AI tool Microsoft has been putting in all its products. He's going to report to CEO Satya Nadella, who made the announcement today. And Suleyman, he's best known as the co-founder of DeepMind. If that sounds familiar, it's the AI startup Google bought last decade and is now central to Google's own AI efforts. DeepMind CEO, in fact, is now in charge of all AI at Google. But Suleyman, since he left Google in 2022, he's been running a startup called Inflection AI, which makes a chatbot called Pi, similar to ChatGPT. Now, Inflection has named a new CEO and said it is pivoting its business away from consumer AI and will instead focus on making AI tools for software developers. However, it's still going to support the Pi chatbot for current users. But it's not just Microsoft poaching one executive here. An Inflection AI spokesperson tells me Microsoft will hire most of the startup's 70 employees. It's effectively an acqui-hire without Microsoft actually buying the company, which would come with loads of regulatory scrutiny, Mike.
Interesting. Steve, stay with us. Let's now send it over to Kristina for the latest from NVIDIA's GTC event. And NVIDIA, Kristina, sorry, we're not going to name you NVIDIA yet, but maybe after a couple more days there. I was going to say the stock has firmed up since the morning lows. I know there's an analyst meeting component of this. What have we learned so far?
I'm going to tell you all of that because I attended the analyst meeting and the press meeting running between hotels. But I have to start with saying that we're going to really have to reframe how we refer to NVIDIA, because CEO Jensen Huang told this room full of analysts that, quote, they are an algorithm-first company and that they, quote, basically run everything. So not just a hardware firm. We did have NVIDIA's CEO on CNBC earlier this morning talking about just that. Listen in.
Everything that we do starts with software. Everything we do starts with software. And everything we do is in service of all the software developers who are solving these really difficult algorithms. We are represented by $100 trillion of industry here.
In order to monetize that software, NVIDIA is launching a new subscription model called NIM, which stands for NVIDIA Inference Microservice, to help companies use their own NVIDIA GPUs, their proprietary data, to build large language models. The NIM service will cost roughly $4,500 per GPU per year. So if you have a lot of GPUs, it's going to be expensive, but it is a reoccurring source of revenue for NVIDIA. And the hotly also anticipated new GPU chip based on the Blackwell platform was also announced yesterday with a launch date later this year. I'm unsure. I was sitting in the financial meeting, unsure if that means it's going to be pushed back to Q4 from Q3, so we're still waiting to hear from that. And then NVIDIA's CFO also warned today that supply constraints on these new Blackwell chips will still occur this year. Earlier this morning, Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, said these chips could cost anywhere between $30,000 to $40,000 per chip. He said that on our airways, but maybe 20 minutes ago, I asked him specifically about that price point because I was a little confused. I thought it would be a little bit more. He said, quote, he didn't intend to put a price on a chip. And then it's not just about the chip, but about designing the entire data center. So we can assure that it's probably going to cost a lot more for companies. I also asked Jensen Huang about the $1 trillion total addressable market. He reiterated that it's going to come out to roughly $250 billion per year for the entire market, something he said before. But today he said that he expects their percentage of that $250 billion will likely be higher than in the past. And Mike, to your point, that's the reason you saw the stock move higher. Once that TAM came out and he reiterated that they're going to get a larger portion of it.
Interesting. And I guess, Kristina, the discussion from Jensen Huang about how, you know, it's a software-based company, they're an algorithm company, algorithms are just instructions, right? I get that, and no doubt about it, a massive software component, but we're still talking about physical shortages here of stuff that people want to buy, right? So it's hard to know how to think about what drives the business and what the overarching conception of the long-term business is.
Well, they would argue that, okay, they're providing chips that may be in short supply in the near term because they're only going to make a certain number, and, everybody's going to be clamoring to get these new Blackwell chips. But when you think about the bigger picture, they are selling more than just chips. You have to buy the Ethernet cables that come with, or Ethernet switches, I should say. You're going to have to buy the software. And so NVIDIA is saying, hey, we're doing much more than just selling the chips or selling this entire package, making the switching costs higher. But yes, to your point, at the bottom of that, there's still a supply shortage, it seems like, for these new Blackwell chips that are going to come out.
Exactly. Okay. And Steve, talk about what this new AI division within Microsoft is going to encompass and what it might represent in terms of their ambitions. Does it house the OpenAI investment, for example?
It doesn't house the investment. That's kind of a separate thing. This is really just building out that Copilot product that they're putting in everything. That's the digital assistant that started going on sale last year. And this is a huge part of how Microsoft plans to monetize AI. For enterprises, for example, they sell that for $30 per user per month. They say it's growing just fine, I guess, but also it's making its way into hardware, too. A couple months ago, Microsoft announced that it's going to add a dedicated Copilot button to Windows PC keyboards, and that just shows you how important they think this product is. So expect Suleiman to basically have purview over how the future of Copilot and actually getting it into more people's hands. Right now, there's a free version of it, there's a paid version for consumers, but they really have to get it out there even more than that, and that's going to be his big task. But it's all Copilot, Copilot, Copilot. That's their marquee product.
Yeah, well, I mean, the sense of urgency being shown by a couple of, multi-trillion-dollar market cap companies is pretty remarkable. Appreciate that.